Hello, welcome to Breakfast Central. It's the middle of the week already. Today is Wednesday, the third day of December 2025. You're welcome to Breakfast Central, where we bring you all the latest updates, news, and insightful analysis on the stories that matter, the stories shaping our country and our continent. You're welcome to Breakfast Central. I am Benga Aboroa.
It's good to have you join us on a Wednesday morning, just as Benga said. Don't forget, we're streaming live on all our socials. That's on YouTube, Facebook. You can also find us on X. Also, not forgetting to, you can drop a comment and let us know what you think about the top stories that we will bring to you today. Whether you like it or not, insecurity is at the front burner. It's a top story every single individual is talking about here in Nigeria. We used to hear of kidnappings from a particular area or certain aspects or areas, I beg your pardon, of the country. But right now it seems that we have pockets of kidnapping in every single corner you look to, be it in the north, the south, the east, and now also the west.
Which is very scary, and
it is very scary, and that's exactly what we're going to look into. It's a conversation to look out for. And Benga, yesterday we had carried on a prediction that also came true. And that was our first wake-up conversation.
They said the witch cried at night, and the baby died in the morning. Who does not know that it was the witch that killed the baby? So it was spot on, your prediction, following the resignation of Muhammadu Badaru, the erstwhile defense minister. We did see images of the immediate past chief of defense staff, General Christopher Musa, retired in the villa. And just yesterday, we got an announcement saying that he's been nominated as a new Minister of Defense. We'll go on a quick break, and when we return, we'll bring you more details of this and more. Please stay with us. You're welcome back to Breakfast Central, and it's wake-up conversations. We're discussing the nomination of the immediate past Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, as the new Minister of Defense, with the abrupt resignation of Muhammadu Badaru Abubakar, who stepped down as Defense Minister on health grounds, means mounted national outrage over a surge in kidnappings, bandit attacks, and escalating insecurity across northern Nigeria. The government has moved swiftly to restore confidence by naming General Christopher Musa retired just weeks after he was relieved of his own role as Chief of Defense Staff, and a broader military shakeup as the likely new defense minister, who earned a reputation as a relentless critic of insecurity and outspoken advocate for stronger, reformed military and civic cooperation during his time leading counterinsurgency efforts and heading the armed forces, now returns at a critical moment emergency following the new national security emergency declaration by Mr. President, hanging in the balance and public trust in defense leadership shaken. What do you make of General Christopher Musa's appointment?
Well, I think it's good. We did talk about it. The northern leaders, the governors, statesmen, traditional rulers, yesterday applauded President Bola Tinubu for taking that bold step. That it's finally a round peg in a round hole, compared to the former governor who became the Minister of Defense. Especially looking at the line of duty, Nigeria is in a very critical situation, like we did talk about it, and it needs expertise, people who understand these things. Coincidentally, the Minister of State for Defense, which you also highlighted, that it doesn't look like it's one portfolio that's been shared into two. Why do you have a Minister of State for Defense and then you have a Defense Minister?
You might have overlapping functions.
A lot. Although many will argue with you that they're two different portfolios. But as far as I'm concerned, it pretty much looks like the same. You can just have one so that you can trickle down information from one source. Because at the end of the day, the Minister of State for Defense would actually want to carry out anyway, whatever it is. They will tell you one is administrative, one is actually, but But I think I applaud it. Many have applauded the president for taking the bull by the horn. It also goes to show, Benga, that you cannot continue to politic your way out.
Yeah, especially when it comes to security matters
or challenges. Yeah. Yes, if the country is going through a lot, it's like if a company, I always like to use the analogy of the company. If a company is going through a lot in terms of its finances, the company is struggling with maladministration, a poor finance system, you do not go and bring let me say, you don't bring a chef to come handle your finance issues in the company.
Exactly.
You go and bring a chartered accountant who has spent decades or years learning. So when he comes in, he looks at your books, looks at your papers, runs through them, and is able to, handle the entire situation accurately. And that's exactly what I think President Bola Tinubu has done. He's looked at it carefully and said, okay, you know what? Maybe it's high time we shelve this political will in terms of ensuring that everyone who's in politics has a piece of the pie. Because whether we like it or not, that's what it's looking like.
Yeah, but when you have a clear and present danger, like the security situation we have thrusted upon us in this country, it's no time to use, to compensate political allies and party stalwarts. A ministry, like a sensitive ministry like the defense ministry, is not one which you use that portfolio to do. You need battle-tested veterans, hardened experts that understand the terrain. And General CJ Musa fits that bill. He was a commander in one of the outfits. He's been there. He understands the men. He was also Chief of Defense Staff. So he's the right person for the job. We hope he gets all the necessary support so as to put this insurgency and terrorism and banditry and kidnapping to an end once and for all. So kudos to Mr. President in this appointment. And if we go across social media, we would see that a vast majority of Nigerians also support this move. But let's take this tweet from the President's media aide, Mr. Bayo Ononuga.
All right. So he put out a tweet yesterday, but not just explaining. This is pretty much like the profile when he ran through the profile on the tweet. He explaining where he was born, his background. We just decided to grab this to let you know that, listen, he's to show the qualification in comparison to what you had there before initially. So date of birth, you do have December 25, 1967. College of Advanced Studies, Zaria, BSc Nigerian Defense Academy. Benga, bottom line, you have someone who has been doing this for a long time. You know, it's part of him. 1991, Commissioner, Second Lieutenant, Commander, Sector 3, Multinational Joint Task Force, Lake Chad, 2021 to 2022 as well. You also have, remember, Operation Lafiado? Yeah, so apparently, for those who didn't know, he was part of that as well. Theater Commander, Operation Hadinkai, Northeast Nigeria. Commander, Nigerian Army Infantry Corps, October 2025, 18th Chief of Defense Staff, that's June 2023. You cannot help but look at this line of duty, look at the list, look at every single thing that the current Minister of Defense has gone through without saying that it's a perfect fit. It is. It's like a glove to the hand, and it's a perfect fit. There's no way you could say it doesn't work. It works. It kind of like reminds us of the late Chief of Army Staff, the late Lagbaja, who died in 2024. His death was a major blow, especially to President Tinubu's administration and also to many in the military, because you remember the videos that circulated showing him going down, doing the push-ups with the soldiers and telling them, let's go, let's go. I do recall here on News Central, the word spoken about him, even while he was still alive, was always good, because every single person who talked about him was like,
it was in a positive
this Chief of Army Staff, he's the real deal. He knows, he's been there, he's been at the front line. And we did see what happened in the case of insurgency when he stepped in. I'm talking about the late T. Lagbaja. He was one of those who said, listen, we're going to follow this approach, we're going to do this, do that. Unfortunately, life was not just kind and fair to him, and he succumbed to the cold hands of death. Here we have someone who many have regarded to be in that similar pedestal, who knows his onions. And I think it's high time. But bring up the markers are now pointing to the chief, chief of, this is where I have an issue, the Minister of State
for Defense. Fellow Matawale.
Fingers are pointing to him now. Why are fingers pointing to him? One, people say qualification, that he doesn't have it. Two, people are saying they do not understand why someone who doesn't have this pedigree is now mounting that role. Is it a political giveaway? That's two. Three, an old video circulated yesterday where he had an interview with Channels Television. I think it was a press conference.
I did see that video.
And he said bandits, not all bandits are
his point.
Are
yes.
bad.
You know, how do you have that sort of sympathy that something forced them to do it? Then if that's the way, I mean, we all have one sort of grievances or the other. We could as well just take up arms and, you know, let's have anarchy and chaos everywhere. Life doesn't work like that. You know, making excuses. So for, and I mean, it comes back to the Senate because they screened him in the first place before he was made a minister. Why didn't they flag all these things? So you can have someone who's sympathetic to criminality and to the cause of bandits as your defense minister. I mean, it will be counterproductive, and it's not going to shed all that baggage just because he was appointed minister. That was his approach as chief executive of his state. So what difference is it going to make? But I hope, like I said, you said on CV it looks fantastic, track record of General C.J. Musa is great, but the reality, I mean, there's no time for accolades and plaudits anymore. It's time to get straight to work and bring an end to this. Nigerians don't want to know how fantastic your CV was. They want to see you get down to work, and they want to see results. And that's what he has his job cut out for him. I hope he's given the necessary support to deal with this decisively, and is one who is just freshly out of the service. So the CDS, the service chiefs, the military, the heads of military formations, they know him, they're very familiar with him. So it's a win-win situation for him and also for the larger nation, for Nigeria at large. So we pray he succeeds for the sake of our country, and we bring an end to this. And the Nigerian police also needs to step up their game and deal with crime decisively. The reason why we are where we are today is because there are little or no consequences for bad behavior, and people are not made examples of. So when you engage in criminality, the full weight of the law should come down on you to set an example going forward. And Joe, I'm happy that the Nigerian Senate is reviewing the laws on kidnapping, and they want to propose the death sentence. So hopefully that acts as a deterrent.
Remember, there is also a death sentence for other crimes, and yet signing it off, especially from the governor's table, is always hard. So nobody wants to have blood on their hands. But this time, let's see if it's a federal law and then it's passed, and all governors, be it whatever state you find yourself, you know that you just have to implement the law. Well, let's see. Well, let's see what Nigerians are saying on X concerning this appointment, and let's see how happy or excited they are here on Breakfast Central. This is a round peg in a round hole. The military hierarchy will not only trust him, they will accord him the greatest respect, being one of their own. Perfect appointment by President Official Bola Tinubu. That's Benga Giwa saying, and whether we like it or not, yes, we agree with that. A round peg in a round hole. I commend President Tinubu for this. It's now time for President to tell Matawale, we had said this. Anyway, to write his own resignation letter. He can copy the sickness reason or write that he needs to take care of his very large family. As for Matawale's replacement, we can get a more politically inclined person from the south so as to help General Musa navigate the political angle of the works of the ministry. May General C. Musa, the defense ministry he leads, and Nigerian general be victorious over these beasts in human form. Amen. Says Tochukwu. Ben Samuel says, we can applaud Bola Tinubu for the appointment if we want, but one straightforward question will hang in the air. if this man is suddenly the perfect choice now, why was he removed as chief
He
of
wasn't
army
chief of
staff
army
in the
staff.
first place?
It was CDS, but I get your point.
Okay. Our politicians really need to lay off whatever they are smoking. He was sacked only recently, and for reasons they've stubbornly refused to tell the public. Maybe, just maybe, he was actually winning the war against terror. That's the part that keeps a lot of us awake at night.
Okay, let's not get into conspiracy theories. We had a guest the other day, and he said, I mean, they have a tenure,
They have a tenure,
as
For
service chiefs.
Yeah.
So it was just part of the process. 35 years in service also.
Benga, I would love for us to see some of the footage, some videos before he actually left office. If we have those videos, we want to see the videos of General Musa, who happens to be the new defense minister now. Let's just watch. I remember the interview he had with Al Jazeera, where he actually laid some very strong emphasis on how Nigeria would
He
be
also
able
spoke
to
to us
defeat.
here a few times. on
Yes,
News Central
exclusive
Television.
with News Central as well. But let's see if we have some footage of him speaking, especially to the soldiers. Take a listen.
And finishing without killing one Boko Haram is not complete. So you must make sure before you go, not be so. That's the only way we can finish them. Look for them. They should not be looking for us, we should be looking for them. You not to go and sit down and wait until they attack. Total new impetus. Before it was safe haven. Now is enduring peace. But what we think we need is more peace. Like I said, it's not only for us to win the war, it's to win the peace. Because if we win the war without winning the peace, there won't be any problem. So we have reached that stage now is to bring a peace that is going to be enduring for everyone to benefit from it. And that's where we're here, and that's where the new beginning. There's a new mindset I want to create within the troops to know that we need to work with the communities. The communities must trust us. And trust is not something you buy. It's people see your action and inaction, they know you are trust, and that's what we want to be. So we're going to rally on everyone to work together, and we want to appeal to Nigerians to give the support to members of the armed forces, because we are determined and dedicated and committed to ensuring that there's peace everywhere we operate. Those ones, we're taking them, those of them that we can refit, we refit. Those ones that we not, will be discarded. But more equipments are coming, because we think we need new items so that we don't have any breakdown. The troops are fully committed and they will be mobile, so that we can ensure that wherever these individuals are, we must fish them out. The idea of sitting down waiting for one attack or the other should go. We must go into the bush and bring them, and that's why I directed that all checkpoints within the town should be left to the police to handle. The troops, armed forces personnel should be at maybe the entry points and exit points only. We must maintain mobile patrols, and then we must go into the bushes to fish.
Well,
I mean, that's what you call a soldier's soldier, you know. He's always encouraging the troops, working on their morale. He's very forthright. He says, you don't wait for Boko Haram and insurgents to attack you. You take the battle to them. He's projecting strength and confidence, and that's what we need at this point.
and that's different from saying, "Oh, the bandits."
You know, making excuses for them.
They're not bad. They're not bad.
They
people.
offended them,
They
so
offended
that's why
them,
they're
so that's
doing
why they
what they're
went
doing.
there,
I
they're
mean,
angry. They started
you're the
killing
state,
people.
for crying out loud. It's terrible.
Child.
But
Well,
hopefully
let's
we'll be
see what
singing a
Nigerians
different
are
song
saying.
going forward. But let's see what Nigerians are saying.
Let's still see what they're saying concerning this.
Joseph Ibe says he's one of the few with field experience against insurgency. The hope now is that they allow him bring that competence to the job instead of drowning it in politics. If he's given the room to apply his discipline and clarity, we might finally see Nigeria move from endless talk to actual results. Joseph Ibe says. Jimmy Show says anyone grumbling about the appointment of General Christopher Musa is either auditioning for Undercover Terrorist of the Year or secretly running errands for the bandits' supply chain. Either way, they need to be unplugged. Senator Sen Archie, I don't know if he's a senator, says, is this not how someone's resume should be in appointment? Congratulations, General Musa. If you compare this resume to the resume of somebody that we saw recently making the rounds in social media, Joe, I don't think you can even appoint that person as your personal assistant.
Bro, you're my bro. You're my bro, and I'm gonna tell you, bro. You know, it's but let's see what we spoke with. We spoke with someone yesterday, someone very special, and he had this to say before we go back to that CV.
Yeah.
You have noted, and many others, it has received widespread acceptance and applause as a fitting decision at a time like this, considering the background of General Musa. If we look at his leadership as Chief of Defense Staff and his vast experience in terms of command and operations, this is the most fitting personality for this job at this time. And I think it has received widespread acceptance, both within the armed forces and the public. You know, it is clear that this will not be his first appearance before the Senate. The Senate will know his background by now. And I expect that his appearance this time will be more of a smooth formality, considering the fact that his previous appearances must have convinced the senators that he has what it takes to lead the defense ministry at a time like this. And besides, I know that he's competent to engage anytime if you look at his pedigree and his previous appearances and interactions. He shouldn't have any issue. And I believe that the Senate should not have any issue passing this as quickly as expected. If we look at the pedigree, the background of his career as a military officer, his training, and then the various appointments he had, up to the most recent being the Chief of Defense.
I mean, there you have it. Major General Christopher Musa retired, talking about his namesake, CG Musa, and echoing the same sentiments.
Yeah, almost everybody
he has field experience, flawless CV, and the right man for the job.
Benga, there's one fact I want us to lay here clearly on Wake Up Conversation this morning. If only politicking can be stopped, Nigeria or the situation we're faced with would not be as bad as it is.
Politicking, and let's deal decisively with actions and consequences.
That's it.
Let there be consequences.
It's still under politicking.
Yeah, because it's the politicking that makes you handle
you don't want to handle
kids' gloves, non-kinetic, this, that.
Yeah, just do the proper thing.
I get you.
And it all boils down to one word: leadership. If the leadership is right, a leader must take decisive action at certain times, sometimes very hard decisions. It's going to be painful, but you just have to take it. But then again, we
have a brave president in President Bola Tinubu. If he could take that bold decision, two bold decisions, unification of the exchange rate, the fuel subsidy, he could as well deal with this issue of insecurity once and for all. And I think, as we approach 2027, he's going to, I think the time for play is over.
Well, while the video of the current Minister of State of Defense and former governor of Zamfara State.
Do we have that video?
No, we don't have that video. It's Bello Matawale was making rounds yesterday where he talked about bandits should be, taken care of. They're not bad people and so on. Another video circulated yesterday, and that video led many Nigerians to point fingers at the current governor, that this should be the governor who should take that role as soon as it's done. We're talking about Governor Babagana Zulum. We're going to take a look at an old video of this governor. Now, there's no gainsaying when people say that. I remember last year here, we had highlighted, we spoke to him here. Early this year. Ooh, it's just December. Early this year, we spoke with him, and we had highlighted when we did our review, which we're also going to do by December. Who do you think is your top performer as a governor, minister, and so on? His name was at the top, #1 in terms of being a governor. But this is the old video where he was talking to the Nigerian army, telling them why they need to go after the bandits or terrorists and get their job done. Just take a look to see that it did not start today. He has always been an advocate and has always been a leader staying at the front.
You will see where they were.
I'm not going back to the town.
No,
and I'm not afraid.
No, it's not sure.
I can sleep if you want. I can sleep inside Baga town.
Yes, let's.
Nothing will happen to you. But the fact remains is that there is no Boko Haram inside Baga.
If you want to do that now,
if there are 10 people Boko Haram, that is there. We can clear them. 1,175 officers. We can go inside Baga town.
I told you. What happened? If you give me 30 minutes, that Baga town is not the problem.
Then take over Baga.
We have
to take over Baga so that our people can go back.
We have
as long as you are in my.
Well, that's an action governor that cares about the welfare of his people, saying, look, let's go to Bagata. I want to make sure there's no Boko Haram insurgents left there. That's leadership.
That's movement.
movement.
So we're not saying anything here,
Yes.
Benga. Please, we're not saying anything. We're not to our viewers. We're just saying. Just imagine that this is the Minister of State of Defense. You know, not we're just saying. Because he said let's do this. Although recently he called for prayer because the man is using all aspects, both prayer, both action,
everything,
But we
just
can
to
see
get results. Yes.
There's always action. We're not saying.
But before we end Wake Up Conversations, there's one very
I thought there was one
there's
king,
one
okay.
important story that's making the rounds, and
look
you're
like
in the
a-
best position to speak about
Anyway,
this. Because this is your home state, and
yeah, so
maybe
we-
you've also been victim of their harassment in the past. I've not seen your back, maybe you have some scars as a result of assault from the gods.
Let me tell them. So from Akwa Ibom, they say ndito, which is children. You know, following Governor Umo Eno's recent ban on masquerade activities in Akwa Ibom State, authorities have acted swiftly to enforce the order. Now, the state police arrested a masquerade identified as David Effiong, who was seen parading through the streets in defiance of the ban during a local event. Now, according to the police public relations officer, CP Baba Azare, investigations into Effiong's case is still ongoing, and it will be, I can't help it, but it will be arraigned once the arrestation is completed. Now, in case you're wondering why we're laughing, the governor did put out a video, which we'd like to show you the video. Warning. Now, if you are very familiar in Akwa Ibom, Ekpo, as it's rightly called, Egungu in Lagos or Yoruba, it's much more like you see them come out. Especially masquerades during December. They come out. You have to appease them. If not, you know, they flog. They also have this in the southwest a lot. They have it in the north, you know, certain parts, not everywhere. But it's an African thing. But in Akwa Ibom, the governor said he doesn't want to see them. But take a look at the video. Yeah, take a look at the video for yourself.
My office as the governor of Akwa Ibom State issued an order. Anyone that will be caught will be arrested and will be tried. They are using the cause havoc in some local government. I am now, as the Chief Security Officer of the state, directing the Commissioner of Police and all other security agencies to arrest and prosecute anyone caught as Bagboya for the war. Man of God, Bagboya for the war. Let us stop the arresting people. Let people have peace. All those ones I see when we are driving.
So, one masquerade decided to, you know, brave the odds and show himself, and he was caught. And his name
I'm surprised his name is David. Is
David,
he Christian?
David Effiong.
Yeah.
He's a strong man. He's a strong, very strong man. That's him.
Okay, that's David in this guy.
David Effiong in his regalia.
Wow. I wonder what he will tell his fellow inmates. Okay, well, what are you doing in jail? Why did you... I was constituting nuisance. I'm a former god. I'm a masquerade. It's very, very interesting. But it's good that they're clamping down on it. But the thing is, how do you distinguish between traditional cultural practices and... Because the governor just put an outright ban on it. People are going to miss out on the beauty of masquerades.
Let's see reactions. Let's see reactions now. When he gets into prison...
Well, he looks sober. They should forgive David Effiong. Digital Sniper says, you don't ridicule the customs and traditions of your fathers. Find a balance, otherwise people will revolt. And I share the same sentiments. They should stop them from flogging people.
Please.
Don't ban them. Imagine saying you don't want to see any pastor preaching on the street or the Muslims praying wherever they find themselves.
But isn't this overstepping on people's rights and cultural norms? These things are practiced everywhere else in the world. Indeed, government of misplaced priorities.
I disagree. You cannot flog.
You cannot
let the masquerade not come near.
So now a major problem for Nigeria with this now. Not saying one should disobey the government, but masquerade is just for entertainment. My brother,
no, it's not.
When
if they flog you, you know what's
they
up.
will flog. That's all we're going to take, by the way. That's all on Wake Up.
So who are they charging? The gods or the human? Are they charging David Effiong or the spirit of David Effiong?
They are charging.
That's the issue.
They are charging them, brother. You want them to hear that? Anyway, that's all. We're taking our Wake Up Conversations. We'll go on a quick break. Our first guest is in. We're going to go full throttle, but let's bring to you what we're talking about today on Breakfast Central, the brightest breakfast show on television. This morning on Breakfast Central, President Tinubu nominates General Musa as Defense Minister with warm accolades. Northern Governors Security Meeting, they have spoken, a lot to highlight, and we'll be talking about that as well. High cost of living persists despite GDP growth. They say it is not trickling down, it is just on paper. How true is that? National Emergency Toll Service Bill is another conversation to look into, and we'll discuss that in between. Plus, you have the front pages of the newspapers. Stay with us. This is Breakfast Central.
Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has nominated a former Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, as the new Minister of Defense. The nomination was conveyed in a letter sent to Senate President Godswill Akpabio on Tuesday, announcing Musa as a replacement for Mohammed Badaru, who resigned from the position on Monday due to health reasons. In his letter to the Senate, the President expressed confidence in Musa's capacity to lead the Defense Ministry and strengthen Nigeria's security framework. The nomination was confirmed in a statement issued by President's Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Mr. Bayo Ononuga. Joining us for this discussion is security consultant Patrick Agbamu. Good morning, Mr. Agbamu, and thanks for joining us on Breakfast Central.
Thank you very much.
Now, General Musa retired. He was pulled out just a few weeks ago after a meritorious career in the Army as Chief of Defense Staff. Now he's back as Defense Minister, pending the clearance from the Nigerian Senate. This seems to be a bold recalibration of Nigeria's defense strategy. Or do you think it's a knee-jerk reaction to mounting insecurity? What do you make of his appointment?
Yeah, thank you. The appointment must say is the most fitted for the most fitted appointment, I would say, that the Mr. President Bola Tinubu has made since his assumption of office. Many defense observers or watchers had expected that right from the word go, he would have appointed a retired military officer or somebody who has in-depth knowledge on defense matters in those two portfolios, the two ministers in the Ministry of Defense. In fact, some people had even been clamored that people like Lieutenant General Tuku Buratai should have been there. But most of us were surprised when the two personalities that were announced as ministers for defense were given that office. And seriously speaking, it had created a lot of gap in the fight against insecurity in Nigeria. So I believe that the president have done the right thing right now. Going back to correct the initial wrong is something that something that we must applaud.
I mean, as a security expert, General Musa is one general that has always spoken tough about taking the fight to the terrorists. He's never one that possibly will look at ensuring that there's a non-kinetic approach to all of these things. How do you think his appointment will, in other words, stir confidence in the soldiers who are on the battlefield? And how do you think his appointment will also help galvanize all the support he needs to ensure that Nigeria is free from these terrorist acts?
Yeah, General Musa is coming with a wealth of experience being the immediate past Chief of Defense Staff, and most fittingly he was the theater commander of Northeast Joint Task Operation Hadinkai in the Northeast, and where he did. In fact, it was a turning point in the fight there because during his time, the terrorists they are forced to voluntarily surrender. That as we speak, over 135,000 of these terrorists had come out of the various locations and with their family members and equipment, with their fighting equipment, and that has reduced the number or the strength of these terrorists. So his appointment now is going to take it further, and it's good that now that he's the minister, interfacing with the Federal Executive Council meeting, speaking on behalf of the defense sector, because he was the one-time Director General of the Nigerian Army Farms and Ranches, where he issues of farmers held that clashes. He really handled that incident. So it's coming with a vast experience that will be of immense help in the discharge of his responsibility. And mind you, when he was the chief of defense staff, he built confidence among both the officer cadre and the soldiers. He was always sitting where there are issues and talking with the soldiers and officers. So really, it's something that many of us had expected when he retired, that we just look forward to the president giving him a more of a strong office that will put him in that position to see to the end of this challenge Nigeria has been facing.
Now, Mr. Agbamu, looking at the hierarchy, the high command of Nigeria's defense structure, for the sake of our viewers, some are wondering if the functions of defense minister is different from that of the Minister of State for Defense. That are we going to have a situation where you have overlapping functions, duplicity of roles, and some sort of inter-service, some disorganization where you have different chains of command. Could you help explain how that works and what his role will be, and if the job description for the defense minister is totally different from that of the Minister of State for Defense?
Yeah, first and foremost, not totally different, but yes, totally different also, because as the Minister of Defense, he is the main minister, while the Minister of State is a supporting minister. In the defense sector, what was before now was that the Minister of State of Defense handles issues kind of particularly the Nigerian Navy and the Air Force, while the Minister of Defense concentrates on handling the larger branch of the armed forces, which is the Nigerian Army and the Defense Headquarters. And so it was a bit seamless, while both of them harmonized in their presentation to the Federal Executive Council meeting. So it was actually, and they interrelate, and it was in most of the time. So it was a very well-coordinated arrangement. But in the immediate past arrangement, we will notice that even the Minister of State was also interfering with the activities in the Nigerian Army and all that. And in fact, to some people, they had said that the Minister of State equated himself also as the full minister, that also saying that he's a full minister. So there were some internal disagreement, but it wasn't very obvious because these are matured politicians from the same side, so they were able to handle it. But some people were not too comfortable with it. I want to believe that in this situation, it has to be different. It has to revert back to the way it is, or else the Mr. President could find someone else who work amicably with the with General Musa, so that we'll have a seamless and undisturbed administration in the defense sector.
Just to follow up on what you said, the Oronsoye report did suggest that we have a reduction in the size of government and that we have an over-bloated bureaucracy. Is the position of Minister of State for Defense really necessary? Do you think one minister can take on the responsibility of both roles? Is it practicable?
Yeah,
is it pragmatic, rather?
Yeah, my answer to this would be categorically being office is not necessary. I think that it's just a part of creating opportunity for more of people to occupy a political office and maybe to satisfy the required constitutional requirements of each state producing a minister and all that. So I think that really is it. And in this period when I talk of paucity of funds, I believe that should be revisited urgently so that we can have save some funds and make things much better. Those funds can be channeled into other aspects of governance.
Okay. I mean, I think we've highlighted that here, and you've also brought it further with clear explanation on why there's duplicity and why it shouldn't be. But I'd like us to look at the current state of insecurity. 5 varsity students, as at yesterday, were said to have been abducted in Rivers State. A story we'll also look into. I'd also like us to touch on that. And then recently, we've been seeing pockets of kidnappings in different parts of the country. As a security expert, what does your intel say in terms of these kidnappings that's going on in different sides or areas or states in Nigeria? Because it seems to be attributed to the Fulani headsmen, which obviously is looking like it's not true. But we don't know that. But we want to ask you, what do you make out of this, the current insecurity we're seeing in different parts of the country?
It's the urban issue for some of us that are deeply and unbiasedly in the security sector will tell you that the kidnapping was never the Fulani herdsmen issue. It was never. Before now, I can tell you that different forms, we have had different forms of kidnapping in the South, in the Niger Delta region before now. The era of commercial kidnapping began both in the South and the Southeast, particularly commercial kidnapping, and it was well entrenched that in the Southeast kidnapping carried out by the people from those regions, not Fulani herdsmen. We have had kidnapping even in the Southwest until the problem degenerated to the point where criminal Fulani men joined the trade. Because like I have been saying right from the beginning, that kidnapping is the most lucrative business with less stress and less risk. So every criminal would want to go into it to carry it out and make a huge returns from it. So it's easy that you can see that some other forms of robbery, armed robbery, and other violent crime we used to experience had simmered down. All boys points towards kidnapping now because it generates more money with low risk. So that is the situation until now. So it's not, you see, I've always said that in my investigation also that stereotyping this kidnapping and even the banditry limits investigations on the issue, and that gives an easy way for the actual perpetrators to escape. You know, when you divert your attention looking for Fulani herdsmen, whereas the people committing it are within. Even in the North Central currently, most of the incidents that are happening there are carried out by different militia groups and different things. So until we Nigerians, particularly the media, try to change that concept that it's not every kidnapping that is carried out by these Fulani, so-called Fulani headsmen. And if you're a headsman, you won't even have time to be carrying out a kidnapping. So the truth of the matter is that these are criminals from all regions of the country, not only the Fulani. So the incident actually shows it's been going on in the southeast. The kidnapping has been going on as we speak, right now, even before now until now, and it will continue because you see, this is the most lucrative business, like I said earlier. It makes it easy to get information on who to commit to adopt. So that is part of the issue. But with intense surveillance and intelligence within the society and the security sector, it would be minimized and, if possible, totally stopped. Because some countries have actually been able to check it because there are many technologies that you can adopt. And one of those things was when the issue of cashless banking, cashless society began. It helped to reduce kidnapping drastically because how would they get the money? It becomes a bit more difficult for them. They will think twice before carrying out any operation. But of course, the machine of the kidnappers were part of the people who led to the fact that we should discontinue that. And again, the mismanagement of that policy also contributed to the clamor for it to be discontinued. I think that if it's properly managed, the cashless society will help us to stop this issue of kidnapping like it's done in so many countries.
All right. I just want to follow up as well. Can we also add that now that we're in the Ember month, especially December, some of the kidnappings we're hearing about, can we rightly say that some persons hiding under the guise of what's happening in the country and want to milk it and see how they can make money for themselves? Is this equally a possibility that we must look into? And what can the security agencies do?
And ordinary Nigerians, how can they forestall this sort of events?
Yeah, thank you. Like we'll call it here in Nigeria, the Ember month. Ember month is a period where you have upbeat in criminal activities because, from September, people will say, how much have I made? Some people will say, how much have I made from January till now? I've not made much. And by December, I'm going to paint the town red. So I must make more money. For those doing legitimate business, how much can they make if they've not made enough at that time? So they will depend on their earnings to be able to survive, and they will plan according to what they're earning. But so many people will want to go into criminal activities. Even criminals will intensify their operations. And that is why they are usually upbeat in criminal activities at this period. And it's going to get worse, I must tell you, this period, because Nigerians still have not developed so much security consciousness as we speak. We need people to develop security consciousness while you are preparing for your end of year festivities. Prepare with moderation. That is one thing about what they need to do. And don't be loud in whatever you are doing, because there are people who are looking at you and saying, oh, why can't I do this also? And somebody will be telling somebody else that this guy has gotten some money or this lady has gotten some money, and that person will pass it to another person. And before you know it, it gets to the wrong hands. And you are traveling and you are disclosing your movements and all that. It's a very bad idea to do. Even those who are affluent and they have domestic helps and they have drivers and are not treating them well, and those domestic helps and drivers will see you with so much funds, so much cash displaying.
Okay.
This is a period where information can be passed against you, and you have to be careful. Why security agencies, particularly the Nigerian police, have operationalized the embalmment operations all over the country to improve security arrangements.
Now, Mr. Agbambu, just before we let you go, I have a double-barreled question for you here. Recently, Mr. President declared a state of emergency nationwide on insecurity in the country, and having done that, he did also make some decisions. He ordered the withdrawal of police personnel guiding VIPs. About more than 11,000 of them have been withdrawn. He also ordered the recruitment of 30,000 new men into the Nigerian police. The first leg of my question is, does this move the needle in the battle for insecurity in any way? And number two, this new recruit with little experience, the new 30,000 policemen that will be added to the Nigerian police force, are they going to be deployed to the front lines? How does it work in the system?
Seriously speaking, it's for a long time, many people have been clamoring to reduce the number of policemen attached to personalities and put them into the general use of, there are so many police divisions that do not have enough hands, but you have some VIPs moving around with legions of policemen brandishing arms and all that, terrorizing other people. So people have been clamoring for it. So I would say that, yes, it's a good idea, but whether it's going to help to immediately, in the immediate run, it's not going to help, because I tell you that those people that have been recalled need a lot total reorientation, because the truth is that they are not able to cope within the general security arrangement right now as we speak. They were well taken care of by their various masters, if I must use the word, and where they cruise around with comfortable vehicles and all that. But now they have rickety vehicles to move around. They have to be on the sun to carry out. So you need to change their psyche for them to be able to be of useful to the general public. Then secondly, the new recruit, like we said, I had said that we need more hands in the police. We need more feet on the ground. But the Nigerian police, as we speak, do not have a well-functioning training institution for such, as we speak, because many of them, and if not all, are dilapidated, and that was what made Mr. President team to start going around to inspect and recommend. So we need a lot to be done.
All right. Thank you so much, security expert Mr. Patrick Agbambu, for speaking with us here on News Central. We look forward to having another conversation with you. Thank you. We'll go on a quick break now on News Central. When we come back, we'll be going straight to another interesting conversation. Stay with us. Welcome back. Governors of the northern states in Nigeria, under the edges of the Northern States Governors Forum, in collaboration with the Northern Traditional Rulers Council, called for a 6-month suspension of all mining activities across the region. The governors made this known at the end of the just concluded meeting in Kaduna State, which took place on Monday this week. The reason? Illegal mining, they say, has become a major funding source for banditry, terrorism, and kidnapping, which they want to nip in the bud.
The governors also unveiled a massive 228 billion naira regional security trust fund targeting 1 billion naira monthly from each of the 19 northern states and their local governments to be deducted at source, aimed at providing the required financial resources needed to tackle the menace of insecurity in the region. But is this a turning point in Nigeria's fight against insecurity, or just another expensive band-aid? Joining us this morning on Breakfast Central for this important discussion is a fearless voice on public accountability. He is a rights activist. We have Mr. Mahdi Shehu joining us this morning. A warm welcome to you and thanks for joining us for Breakfast Central.
Good morning.
Mr. Shehu, what do you make of the communique that was released following the meeting of the 19 northern governors and the traditional rulers? Do you think it was another talk shop, or are we going to see action that would lead to dealing with insecurity in the states decisively? What's your assessment?
Well, I think two summaries to it. The first summary is the 1 billion naira monthly pledge for a security pool by the 19 northern state governors. The second one is the call for the freezing of minor activities for 6 months. Now let me go to the second one. Freezing of minor activities in the Northwest. That is a wishful aspiration, because all you require to see the impossibility of implementing that decision or implementing that request is look for the list of the people who were granted the mining license. The moment you see the list, the name of the companies, if you go and search the directors of the companies at the CAC, once you see the names of the directors, your mouth will drop and you will take to your heels, you run away. Because the licenses were granted and are being granted to the cream of the society, to the powers that be in the society, to the influencers, if you like, to the masquerades that are hiding behind the names. I guarantee you that no president, no minister, no senior government official will have the courage and the guts and the audacity and the temerity to do what? To suspend mining in any part of Nigeria. Look at even the foreigners who are there. These foreigners did not fall from heaven. They were granted entry visa, they were granted resident visa. Some of them are even staying illegally. Their visas have expired. Resident permits not even renewed, but they are still at the mining site. Have you ever heard of recent any attack on any mining site? It should interest you. Why is it that these bandits don't attack mining sites? Is it that they have been settled? Is it that they are part and parcel of the owners of the license? Or is it that they are untouchable? Something somewhere is fundamentally wrong there. Number two, when you say you are pulling 1 billion naira, amounting to 200-something billion naira for security, tackling security issues in northern Nigeria, I think that is too simplistic. Simplistic because it's not about money alone. Money is just one aspect of the requirements of checking the insecurity menace in northern Nigeria. What are the other requirements? The other requirement is as long as governors who are holding their state's money refuse to invest into agriculture, into productive activities, into education, into health, into infrastructure, for that long, insecurity will continue to elude us, and insecurity will continue being the general rule. Where you have in a governor's office 30 billion naira from January to date, still counting, has been spent on transport and traveling and entertainment in government house, and conversely contrast it with the same governor's budget of Ministry for Health for the whole year, less than 10 billion naira. Ministry for Youth Development for the whole year, less than 2 billion naira. Ministry for Agriculture for the whole year, less than 10 billion naira. In his office alone, 30 billion naira blown off. If that governor tells you he is serious and concerned about insecurity, that governor is deceiving himself and deceiving you, and you must not believe him. When you see a governor prioritizing the renovation of government house, renovating government houses, making additional buildings in government houses, when he's in his state, there is no hospital General Hospital, I mean, in the state capital that has drugs of 250 million naira in their store. When the primary health care in the state have collapsed completely, when there are still children sitting down on the ground for their studies, when you have millions of out-of-school children in his own state, he's talking about pooling money. Pooling money is just another approach, just a panicky approach. They should spend people's money honestly, honorably, sincerely, and in the best manner possible, and inject them into the sectors that will minimize the pressure. There is a linear relationship between poverty, ignorance, and insecurity. There is a direct, indirect, linear, and tangential relationship between the way and manner monies are being spent recklessly and the way and manner insecurity continues to increase because of poverty. A poverty-stricken person can go to all extent, can travel extra length, extra mile, extra speed to get whatever he wants, fair and foul, legal and illegal. He will go that way. The fundamental issue chasing northern Nigeria is that there is no blueprint up to this moment. Like I ask you, if they have this money, like for this month, 19 billion, where is the blueprint? From where are they going to start? What are they going to do? Endless questions, inordinate silence. This is a fire brigade approach. The earlier they consult people, they should be consulting stakeholders. This issue is not a matter of putting up traditional rules and governance. Insecurity issue is beyond the traditional rulers. It's beyond the governors. There are stakeholders right from the down there who are not consulted, who are not important, who are not part of the equation. Any equation where you have x with a zero value, coefficient of the x is zero value, coefficient of y is zero, it means the result is going to be zero.
That's a form of further maths applied to that. Mr. Shehu, we'd like you to please hold your thoughts. We have more questions to ask. Questions about state police and more. We'll go on a break. When we come back, this conversation continues. This is Breakfast Central. Do stay with us. Welcome back from the break. We do have public accountability rights activist Mr. Madi Shehu joining us as we look at the rising spate of insecurity and the meeting between the northern region governments and elder statesmen, not forgetting too all who are finding a solution to the problem. Mr. Shehu, before the break, I had mentioned that we're going to take a look at one of the major conversations that was had, especially by the northern governors. They talked about state policing, and they also looked at aspects in which this insecurity challenges can be curbed. But let's watch the video, and then when I come back, would like to ask your thoughts on this.
The forum reaffirms its wholehearted support and commitment to the establishment of state police. Accordingly, the forum encourages national and state assembly members in the region to expedite action for its actualization. The forum observed that illegal mining has become a major contributory factor to the security crisis in northern Nigeria. The forum therefore resolved to strongly recommend to the President to direct the Honorable Minister of Solid Minerals to suspend mining exploration for a period of 6 months to allow proper audit and subject all mining licenses to revalidation for a period of 6 months in active consultations with the various state governors, and in the process arrest the menace of artisanal illegal mining. In order to effectively confront the security crisis in the north, the forum resolved to set up a regional security trust fund to be funded with monthly contribution of 1 billion naira from each state and local governments to be deducted as source under a framework to be agreed upon.
Well, you heard them there, the chairman of the Northern Forum there speaking. Mr. Shehu, what's your take on the state police and the calls for it to be quickly established throughout the north?
The idea is of state police is a noble one. It should have been 15 years ago. It should have been 10 years ago. It should have been 5 years ago. It should have been a year ago. It should have been yesterday. But it is not late today, it's not late tomorrow. But the issue is, are they ready for the state police? The fear of people that governors are going to abuse state police, I don't share that fear. Because go and abuse the police. Use the police to harass people, to intimidate and arrest your opponents. The worst you can do as a governor, the best you can go is you go for 8 years. After 8 years, the same police you use intimidating people and assaulting them will be used against you. So it's going to be a continuous cycle of karma. That's number one. Number two, if we want state police, it can happen in the next 1 month, because luckily for us, all states are represented in Nigerian police, maybe in an equal disequilibrium. But in every state command, you have the state police headquarters. There is also a training ground. And in each state of Nigeria, there are abundance of old retired army generals, retired senior police officers, retired custom officers, retired DSS officers, and such other officers that have served the nation, that you can simply pool, get a manual, a framework, a working document of how to recruit, when to recruit, how many to recruit, for how long, and so on and so forth. Before the next 6 months, you would have started your own training. But then, are they willing to do this, or they want to do a fire brigade approach? You can also tell all police to go back to their own states, because local policing is very important. If you bring somebody from Akwa Ibom, even in Akwa Ibom, you go, he's an indigenous of Ikot Abati or Ikot or whatever local government. Post somebody from Akwa Ibom state to Katsina state as a police officer and tell him to do community local or community police. He cannot succeed because he is alien to the terrain, to the culture, to the language of the environment, such that he will spend 36 years of his life in the police without visiting 1/10 of the entire state. But tell every policeman to go back to his own state. Let him be evaluated there, let him be assessed there, let him be either dropped or retained or returned. That is the fastest way you can get state police. So I share the sentiment of state police. I wish it can happen today. And let anybody who wants to abuse it, abuse it. There will always be a payday.
Okay, there would always be a payday, you say. Mr. Chair, one of the issues the northern governors spoke about and traditional rulers was the Almajiri system. They said it's a fertile breeding ground for radicalization of young Nigerians. And like you said earlier during the course of this program, that when there's pervasive poverty, a man can be desperate to take up arms or do anything. What do you make of the Almajiri system? Can it be remodeled? Because the First Lady is in talks with the Qatar Foundation, and they're talks on remodeling it, or should it be banned in its entirety? And what are the dangers? What are also the dangers of leaving it the way things are now without doing anything about it?
I'll be honest with you. If you have $1 billion Qatari Foundation coming to invest billions of dollars in Nigeria to checkmate the menace of millions of Almajiri on the street, in northern Nigeria particularly, it will fail, it will not succeed.
Why do you say so?
Because, well, it will not succeed because the issue of Almajiri system is a local issue that was created and nurtured and promoted and protected by the local people with interest. Like, no politician would want to have the Almajiri of the street because they have their own day. When elections come, they require the Almajiri the poor Almajiri, the hungry Almajiri, the dirty Almajiri, to form part of their congregation to intimidate people that they are popular. They are also required when it comes to insulting people. When you see an Almajiri in a locality, the federal government has no business, and they are not guilty of any Almajiri on the strip of northern Nigeria. Who is guilty? The people in the locality who refused to invest their money into education and get these people educated. Who refused to invest their money into health sector and allow these people to remain sick. Who refused to invest into agriculture to enable these children to go to the farm. These are the enemies of the society. These are the people who nurtured, promoted, and protected Almajiri system. And these are the same people who are not willing to let go, because they use the Almajiri as their own bait. They use the Almajiri as their attack dog. And before they are very Almajiri out of poverty, out of ignorance, are being initiated into crimes. But this time around, they also need the criminals, because you could hear the former Chief of Defense Staff Irabo and so many other government officials in this government have confirmed that politicians are deeply involved. They have their head, their neck, their shoulder, their hands, and their legs into the insecurity issue, banditry, and criminal activities. Unfortunately, nobody has the courage from the government cycle, from the security cycle, to mention names. We've heard that they are going to mention names. They are going to mention names. They are going to mention names. No names are being mentioned, but you know the names. You know some of them. I know some of them. They know many of them. Others also know many of them. All criminals that are in the society are well-known criminals. A criminal in the society can easily be identified. If you go to Shagamu, or you go to Surulere, or you go to Kasana, or you go to Kano, or Anambra, or Aria Market, or Mile 12, ask the residents of that area, please, name 10 hardened criminals, 10 drug barons, 10 drug couriers. Within 10 minutes, they will give you the names. They are all well known. Just like you go to society and say, please, tell me just 5 trusted, reliable people that I can trust. They can give you the names. We are living in denial. We are deceiving ourselves. Just like the issue of insecurity now, that we folded our arms and watched to escalate. The issue of Almajiri system now is beyond the north. It has become a menace to the south-south, a menace to the southeast, a menace to the southwest, already a cankerworm and a cancer in the north. Until and unless we go out of our way. And when I say we, I mean people who are stakeholders. We continue to talk, but people who are holding the treasury, the politicians that have so much huge money at their own disposal, they have the burden on their 2 shoulders to either check the menace of a Almajiri system in northern Nigeria, or they are going to be victims, or their wives will be victims, or their children will be victims. Karma will visit them.
Well, you've said a lot concerning the Almajiri system and what it portends. But do you in any way have faith in the northern leaders to remove terrorism completely? And do you think that there are some, or any of them, as widely purported on social media, that is culpable in ensuring that this menace continues?
I will be lying to you if I tell you that I have confidence that the current crop of northern leaders, top to bottom, whether they are even committed, whether they even understand the magnitude of this criminal activities and banditry and kidnapping and arson and murder. I don't think they really understand the implication. The implication is that we are losing a whole generation. We are losing a whole nation. We are bringing down a whole settlement. And we are writing our names, the name of the entire society, with bad ink, in bad colors, with possible bad narratives in future. I don't see it happening, because as long as the criminal activities, there are people who are benefiting out of it. You know it, I know it. Those who are supplying food items to the criminals are beneficiaries. Those who are supplying fuel are beneficiaries. The owners of the filling station where these fuels are being purchased for the criminals are beneficiaries. The owners of these grains being purchased are beneficiaries. People who are reposed with the responsibility of securing our lives are beneficiaries, and so on and so forth. With such a cycle of guilty people managing the insecurity and criminal activities in society, what hope is there for you? What hope is there for me? Why must I hang my neck to say that I have confidence in them? When you have a governor purchasing limousine cars, buying bulletproof vehicles, for who? For his commissioners, for his at the highest level, for permanent secretaries, for ministers, for commissioners, for traditional rulers. When it becomes a priority, then there is something fundamentally wrong. These limousines, they can't even drive now. No emir, no northern emir in particular, or northern traditional ruler now, will have the guts and the courage to go on the highway with those limousines and bulletproofs. He can't do that because they are feeling threatened. So why do you tie down billions of naira annually, either as a president or as a governor, to buy automobiles that you cannot drive now out of insecurity?
I mean,
Why
Mr.
would you
Shehu,
dedicate so much money to pamper the National Assembly members with trillions of naira at the expense of 200 million people who are facing abject poverty in Nigeria, 70 million Nigerians who are hypertensive and diabetic with only 7 million taking medication, 40 million out of school children, over 120 million unemployment rate? Come on.
now, Mr. Shehu, you just painted, I mean, that's the reality of the situation we find ourselves in this country. And the question is the leaders and those decision makers, do they have this sense of urgency, or do they understand the reality of the clear and present danger that their decisions in the past and the current decisions they're making have made this insecurity come to a head? Because even at the meeting of the Northern Governors meeting, Northern Governors Forum, they believe, let's throw some money at it and that would deal with insecurity. Now let's talk about something else that is happening in terms of insecurity. Just yesterday, an old video emerged of the current Minister of State for Defense as Governor Bola Tinubu. He was speaking in a press conference, and he seemed to be making excuses for bandits and criminals, saying, the government has hurt them in the past, vigilantes, we can't go full throttle and attack them. And this is not just Mr. Bola Tinubu sharing this sentiment. Today, he's defense minister. We've also had leaders in the past. We've had commentary, rather, for people making a case for this bandit. As a human rights activist and as someone who cares about the welfare of people, of Nigerians in general, and you're domiciled in northern Nigeria, what will be the best approach in dealing with insecurity? Would it be non-kinetic or kinetic or mixture of both? And when I say non-kinetic, I mean, creating industry, businesses for more government presence, not negotiations. What's your take on this?
Well, you see, number one, I don't believe in negotiating with a criminal who took arms against the state. I don't believe, I would never subscribe to that nonsense. Number two, as long as there is no investment to create and stimulate economic activities, for that long, poverty will continue to ravage the society, and the consequences are that people will continue to commit crime under all forms of excuses. Number two, I watched the video you have just spoke about now about the junior minister of defense, where he was giving excuses.
Yes.
Maybe he's giving excuses because he went and consulted with these criminals personally, depending on what they told him. But as far as I'm concerned, these excuses are not enough to continue killing people in their thousands over the last 18 years. I would not subscribe to those excuses. Perhaps those criminals should have held the people responsible for the resources in their localities. That might have been acceptable, but they are collecting gifts from politicians. They are collecting money from politicians. They are collecting Hajj seats to go to Mecca from politicians. They are getting so many favors from politicians. So why are they coming to attack innocent people? They should attack the politicians who are protecting them and who are financing them. That's a simple formula. Number 3, there is a need for government.
Okay, we hope to have Mr. Shehu back. It was one thing that hits the nail on the head for me is his statement. I don't believe in negotiating with criminals who have taken arms against the state. And I believe this is the genesis of our problem, because it's become an industry. It's so easy. You've bought into that franchise. Why should I go back and struggle in the farm or engage in what I was doing before when politicians could easily pay me? And then you use those arms. What do politicians think when you pay for ransom, when you negotiate with these terrorists? What do they think they use the money for? To buy more sophisticated weaponry so they can use it to hold the state to ransom. And let's hope, because you have to, like Mr. Shehu rightly said, you have to make the criminal, you have to delegitimize it and also make it unattractive. You cut off the supply lines and, starve it of oxygen to breathe. But when we negotiate, when we give them money, you're only fueling it, and it's just a band-aid. But we hope to reconnect with Mr. Mahdi Shehu so we can conclude this very important conversation we're having on the Northern Governors Forum and the FOLA. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was looking forward to also hear his summation, although he said he doesn't believe in the present crop of northern leaders, the governors, and I wanted him to expatiate more on that so we could get his feel concerning that. But then again, network connectivity issues, we're still trying our best to see if we can reconnect with him so we can at least wrap up the conversation on a good note. But let's hope that we can work on the connectivity issues. Our producers and technical team are working right behind the cameras. Well, let's move on now. While we wait for that, let's tell you that Nigeria's media community has received strong commendation and renewed assurances from the presidency as Vice President Kashim Shettima underscores the essential role of journalists in safeguarding democracy. Speaking at the 2025 International Press Institute Nigeria Conference in Abuja, the Vice President said that press freedom remains non-negotiable under the Tinubu administration. New Central State House correspondent Bettina Nweli tells us more.
And here this is a collection of the cream de la cream of the journalism profession in Nigeria.
Addressing media professionals at the International Press Institute Nigeria Conference, Vice President Kashim Shettima described journalists as democracy's shield and a stabilizing force in moments of national tension. He, however, urged journalists to uphold ethical reporting, warning against fabrications and emphasizing the need to prioritize verification over virality.
Democracy is safe only when power is under constant observation. And it is safe only when those who observe do so with integrity rather than vendetta. That is where your heroism begins. The pen is only mightier than the sword when it is deployed in the pursuit of justice and objectivity. Without ethics, journalism becomes nothing more than a dictatorship of text and airwaves, a distortion chamber where truth is suffocated by dangerous agendas.
Also speaking at the conference, Minister of Information Mohammed Idris reaffirmed the government's renewed commitment to press freedom and stressed that the administration seeks dialogue, not control, in managing misinformation and strengthening ethical reporting.
We remain committed to working with the IPI, the Nigerian Guild of Editors, Nigerian Union of Journalists, and all other organs within the media profession to review regulatory frameworks, ensuring that they protect both free speech and the public good in line with global best practices.
When a journalist is arrested in Kano, colleagues in Akwa Ibom must care. When a newsroom is attacked in Niger, reporters in Lagos must speak out. When a reporter disappears editors in Abuja must raise the alarm. Solidarity is our greatest line of defense.
As conversations around media freedom continue nationwide, stakeholders reaffirm that a protected press remains essential to Nigeria's democracy. In Abuja, for News Central, Bettina Nwili.
Okay. Well, journalists would like to nod the fourth realm, and we would always do what we have to do, Benga.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right.
But let's move on to some other issues regarding Nigeria's economy. Some good news here. Nigeria's cost of living crisis remains a major concern despite a 3.98% GDP growth recorded in Q3 2025. In a policy brief by the Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise, CPPE, the organization noted that although reforms have stabilized the exchange rate, slowed inflation, and boosted investor confidence, households are still struggling with rising expenses. The non-owned sector contributed 96.56% to GDP, with services leading at 53%. Agriculture improved slightly. Manufacturing remained weak due to high costs and structural challenges, while financial services recorded the strongest growth at 19.63%.
The call for targeted government policies to reduce living costs persists among experts. CPPE suggests that long-standing structural issues be addressed to ensure growth translates to real welfare gains. Well, joining us now is the Director and Chief Executive Officer of Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise, CPPE, Dr. Muda Yusuf. Thank you for being here this morning. Let's go straight into it. What is the long existing problems that is being mentioned that could also cause households, Nigerians as a whole, not to benefit from the results we see published in newspapers? We see that, the Naira is gained. We see that the economy is boosting. We also see great news. But back home, Toby, Chinyere, Michael is not feeling it. What's really the existing problem that's affecting this?
Well, thank you very much. First, we must acknowledge the progress that has been made, which has reflected in the GDP numbers. Having a GDP of 3.9%. It's not a bad performance by any standard. But having said that, reform is a journey, and you progress gradually from stabilizing the economy to building growth to addressing the welfare issues. So what has happened so far is that there has been a lot of concentration, and rightly so, on stabilizing the economy, stabilizing the macroeconomic environment, because you can't build something on nothing. You need to stabilize the economy before you can create wealth, create jobs, and address the issues of poverty. So I think it's like a phased thing. But however, it is important to ensure that as we address the issue of stability in the economy, the issue of growth, we should also simultaneously be addressing the issue of the cost of living. And just as you said, if you go out there and say that, well, the economy is doing well, GDP is doing well, blah, 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 the ordinary man will wonder what you are talking about, until they begin to feel the impact in terms of lower cost of living, lower transport costs, cost of food, and all of that. So what needs to happen is to ensure that the government deliberately addresses these critical cost of living issues. And when you look at the inflation numbers, it clearly indicates where the pressures are. The pressures are coming from food, it's coming from health, it's coming from education, it's coming from transportation, and it's coming from energy costs. These are the major pressure points. So the point that is being made here is that there has to be deliberate, targeted, specific policy framework to deal with these specific issues by specific policy interventions. That is the point that is being made here.
Okay. Well, we would like to ask more questions, especially looking at agriculture. But then again, let's go on a quick break. We'll ask you to please stay with us. After the break, more questions concerning this.
You're welcome back to Breakfast Central, and we're discussing the cost of living remaining high despite Nigeria's GDP growth of 3.79%, according to CPPE. And joining us this morning for this very important conversation is the CEO of CPPE, which is at the Center for Promotion of Private Enterprise, Dr. Muda Yusuf. Thank you so much for staying with us, Dr. Yusuf. Now, in your report, in your organization's report, you did mention that agriculture improves slightly. And Nigerians are wondering that, the food basket of the nation is grappling with insecurity issues. So how did this improvement happen? Agriculture grew by 3.79%. So what practical reforms can unlock stronger agricultural output despite insecurity issues and weak logistics?
Well, insecurity is, of course, one of the biggest challenges being faced by the agricultural sector. But in spite of that, there are still pockets of areas where the insecurity problem is not that pronounced. And most of the food items that are produced locally, most of those food items still come from those locations. So within the context of whatever challenges we have, I think what is important is for government to focus on productivity improvements, that's scaling productivity in agriculture. And this will require greater support in terms of farm inputs. We are talking now about things like fertilizer, things like improved seedlings, things like tractors, which the government imported massively a few months ago, and also ensuring that you have the rural infrastructure to connect the market to the farms or to connect the urban centers to the rural areas, So these are some of but all of these things will require heavy subsidy in agriculture. Yes, we must say that subsidy is not an entirely bad thing. We may have had challenges with subsidy in petroleum products, but there are some sectors that deserve to be supported with subsidy. If you really want to run an economy that is equitable, that can really address the welfare issues. And one of those areas that requires subsidy, especially with respect to inputs in agriculture, is the agricultural sector. So we need to subsidize everything entirely along the value chain. We need to ensure that there is proper linkage between the rural communities and the cities, because food demand is higher in the urban centers. The production is usually in the rural areas. If there is no proper linkage, then we have a problem, So that input support is perhaps the most important thing that needs to be given to agriculture, and it needs to be subsidized. That is why we look at many of the advanced economies. They may have other problems, but they hardly have challenges with food. And it's because the government of those countries heavily subsidizes food, agriculture. It happens in the US, it happens in EU and many other economies like that. And these are subsidies that run into billions of dollars or billions of euros. So that is something that must happen and then you must create the environment for younger people to be in agriculture, because the agricultural population is aging. Many of them are very old, 60 and above, 70 and all of that. The younger generation are not willing to go there because they cannot, of course, we don't expect them to go there and be carrying hoes and cutlasses.
Yeah, but there's technology.
So we need to also accelerate that transition.
Yeah, but there's modern agricultural practices. You mentioned tractors and technology. How can they key into that, young Nigerians?
No, it's about sensitization, and it's also about adequacy of those things. Yes, we know that tractors, use of technology and all of that, those things we have all sorts of farming now. We have vertical farming,
hydroponics,
this greenhouse farming and so on. But there has to be sensitization and there has to be support so that any young person that wants to go into that area will not be struggling with issues of financing, for instance, with the issue of land, with the issue of access to so many things that they need. That is the way we can make it a lot more attractive to the younger generation, because that is where the energy of the country is. It's with the youth. And we are seeing what the youth are doing in many other sectors, but they are not active in agriculture. So we need to make that happen. And not only at the primary level, it's also completely along the value chain. Production, which is the primary production of the crops, processing, transportation, marketing, export of those things. There are so many opportunities along the value chain. But there has to be sensitization, and there has to be a lot of ease of doing business issues that needs to be tackled around agriculture. I think that is the way we can make it happen.
All right, we've touched on agriculture. I'd like us to touch on the non-oil sector. It's mentioned that the non-oil sector contributed 96.56% to Nigeria's GDP. Can you specify which of the industries that are making this happen? And what policy steps are needed to actually further strengthen non-oil productivity?
Well, we just talked about agriculture. Agriculture is a major contributor to GDP in the non-oil sector area. It contributes close to 25% to GDP. Then, of course, we have the trade and commerce. Also contributes about 16% or so to GDP. Then we have other service sector, ICT, telecoms, construction, real estate. All these are sectors that contribute, transportation inclusive. All these sectors contribute significantly to the GDP. And if you look at the employment space, if you look at the employment numbers, majority of the jobs are in these sectors. That is why their contribution to GDP is that high. But they have productivity issues. That is why the contribution of the non-oil sector to GDP is high. But the contribution to revenue and particularly contribution to foreign exchange is very low. Although when we look at VAT and company income tax, it's getting better now from companies and so on. But it can be better, given the size of the contribution of the non-oil sector to GDP. So these are the things that we need to do. We need to look at productivity issues around the non-oil sector.
And talking about productivity, Dr. Yusuf, talking about productivity issues around the non-oil sector, a lot of people will say it's a no-brainer. If you're doing 96% to Nigeria's GDP, if the non-oil sector is contributing to that, then why not reverse it and make Nigeria, since we're diversifying away from the oil, being an oil-dependent economy, why can't we make this much money in foreign exchange from non-oil earnings? That brings me to my next question. Manufacturing, this is quite depressing. Manufacturing grew only 1.25%. What does this mean for our economy, and what are the most urgent interventions needed to revive this sector? Because, it's now bothering national security, because you have an army of Nigerian youths that are idle and not doing anything. And when you have jobs in manufacturing, they can absorb this much people from the labor force.
Well, manufacturing has been struggling. In fact, a particular segment of manufacturing has been in recession for close to 5 or more years, and that is textile and apparel. Despite the fact that we have a huge population that needs clothing and all of that, yet we have a textile sector that has completely collapsed. Now, the issue about manufacturing is about what we call the structural challenges in manufacturing. And this borders essentially on things like energy costs, things like cost of logistics, cost of funding, regulatory issues, the tax environment, issues at the ports. because manufacturing involves a lot of moving around of either raw materials or finished goods and all of that. So the logistics implication for manufacturing is extremely very high. And this things cost a lot of money. It puts a lot of pressure on costs. To move your container through the ports to your factory, you finish production, you have to move it back to the market, you distribute it around the country, where the rail system, for instance, is not functioning well, where you have to move practically everything by road. On top of that, you have a whole lot of regulatory issues. Some institutions are overlapping regulators. You have to borrow money at close to 30%. You have to compete sometimes with some imported products that are extremely very cheap. These are the challenges. So for us to get it to get more traction in terms of improvement in manufacturing or industrialization, we need to address those critical structural issues, starting with the cost of energy. I mean, we have been on these energy issues for decades, but we cannot be tired of repeating it. There is no country that industrializes without proper, adequate power supply. It's just impossible.
Yeah,
you cannot industrialize if you continue to rely on diesel and sometimes all sorts of petrol and all of that. So those are the challenges.
Yeah, understandably, Dr. Yusuf, we've been, I'm sure, I've been speaking to you about some of these issues for over 10 years, especially power, and they seem like a no-brainer. The Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, your organization, Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise, different various chambers of commerce and industry. My question is, you do interface with government from time to time and lay these issues on their table. It's also a win-win for the government to see that, we have a productive manufacturing base. So how come all these years there seems to be little or no movement in manufacturing and the problems remain the same? At least if you can't take care of power, the little policies like the ports that you mentioned, some of the government regulation, taxes, those are low-hanging fruits that they can deal with.
Well, just as you said, it's a governance issue. And governance issues are things that we have been grappling with over the decades, over the past 2, 3 or more decades. Governance. And governance has to do with having an impact on the economy through ensuring that you create an environment that allows for productivity. It has to do with the priority of spending, the structure of the budget, the implementation of the budget, and so on and so forth. So it's about government being more deliberate in terms of investing a lot more in infrastructure, in things that enable production. And I've mentioned those things. And this is a major responsibility for government at the federal level, at the state level, even at the local government level. All of them have things to put on the table. There are direct interventions that needs to happen. There are also policy interventions that needs to happen. Because through policy, you can also incentivize the private sector capital to come into that space and support the creation of the enabling environment. So it's a governance issue. It's a question of getting our priorities right. And those of us in the advocacy space, including the media, should not be tired of emphasizing this point, that we need to deploy our resources in a way that will improve the productivity in the economy.
I want to say thank you so much, Dr. Muda Yusuf, for taking time out to dissect these things, especially looking at the growth that we're making. Like you said, it's commendable, and we cannot wait to see even more growth, especially from these sectors. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yusuf.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. We'll go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll bring to you breakfast headlines and then go straight into the front pages of the newspapers. Stay with us. Welcome back. Let's begin with the state of the nation, where President Bola Tinubu is demanding greater efficiency and stronger results in the ongoing fight against insecurity across parts of Nigeria. The president met with service chiefs and heads of intelligence agencies at the State House on Tuesday, where the closed-door meeting lasted for more than an hour. Following the briefing, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Olufemi Oluyede, described the discussions as highly engaging, noting that the president issued fresh directives aimed at boosting national security efforts. He assured Nigerians that the security agencies are now coordinating more effectively to guarantee a peaceful and safe Yuletide celebration nationwide. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has nominated former Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Musa as Nigeria's new Minister of Defense. In a letter to the Senate, President Godswill Akpabio, President Tinubu announced Musa's nomination following the resignation of Mohammed Abubakar, who stepped down amid rising insecurity across the country. General Musa, a respected officer, served as the 18th Chief of Defense Staff from 2023 until October 2025, when he was relieved during a broad shakeup of the nation's service chiefs. Earlier retired Major General Chris Olukolade joined us on the news to share his thoughts on the nomination.
It's best for the nation at this time, for the fact that General Musa will find it very easy to connect with the military and with the public. He will be able to also, within the military, will be able to connect with generations. If you have the previous experiences of this nation and having military officers as defense ministers, it's been good, but this time, considering the fact that General Musa has been in our most challenging security situation in the management thereof, he's been part of it, and then only recently he took what is now looking like a short leave. His being back will be a fresh input, and I think that it can connect with the demands and with the expectations. The officers and men are definitely excited at the return of General Musa to lead it.
Still on security, 5 students of Rivers State University, Port Harcourt, have been kidnapped by suspected gunmen at their satellite campus in Emoha local government area. Emoha campus of Rivers State University, located on the outskirts of the city, has been witnessing a surge in crimes, leading to frequent protests by students demanding relocation to the main campus due to insecurity. In a recent protest, representative of the School Science Student Association of Nigeria, Mariam Odungweru, narrated how porous and dangerous the campus has become.
Today, early this morning, 4 people were abducted, and their security guard killed with an automatic rifle. An automatic rifle shooting the dog. Who is going to be next? A human being. They are tired, they are hungry, they are stressed. This particular issue is something that has been holding them. They want to come back.
That we are going to now engage the governor. The government has set up the campus to ensure that they listen to the cries of our students. Okay? And then 3, that right now we're going to concentrate efforts as ensuring that we get our students that are kidnapped safely back. And then 4thly, those who engage in this evil must be caught. We'll pursue them, we'll chase them till we get them.
Away from insecurity now, let's talk politics. In Osun State, ahead of the governorship election slated for August 2026, Adebayo Adedamola has clinched the Osun PDP governorship ticket with 919 votes after Governor Ademola Adeleke withdrew from the race. Adedamola emerged as the consensus candidate following quick moves by party leaders and delegates to steady the process. There are reports that ahead of his selection, there had been days of internal talks aimed at keeping the Osun PDP united. Party officials say it shows strong confidence in his leadership and electability. Supporters called it a chance to strengthen the party's grip on the state.
The candidate that got the remaining of Adebayo, 919 votes. He stands elected. Lord Seyi Makinde is desperate to become president come 2027. He should use another state as a tool, not Osun State. We are PDP members, bona fide PDP members, in a state whereby we have 25 House of Assembly members, a speaker, we have 5 House of Rep members, we have a senator, and a governor from another state will come to our state to dictate for us. We won't take that. We won't take that. And this is a message to everybody that we won't take this anymore. We are leaders of our party and we won't take this anymore. They came here to do what I can call a drama, and this will be the end of it.
Indeed. Outside Nigeria now, let's tell you that Tanzania's President Samia Suluhu Hassan has defended the deadly crackdown that followed the disputed October 29 election, insisting the security response was proportionate to what authorities viewed as an attempt to destabilize the state and overthrow the government. Opposition groups and rights organizations maintain that more than 1,000 protesters were killed during 3 days of unrest, although the government is yet to release an official casualty figure. Hassan secured 98% of the vote in an election widely condemned by observers for the arrests and disqualifications of opposition candidates, among other irregularities. Reports continue to surface of missing bodies and widespread abuses linked to the security sweep.
Waandamanaji wengi wanaingia njiani, na wakiingia njiani, serikali ikiona huu uandamanaji unakwenda pasipo, wanaweka nguvu kubwa. Yameshafanyika kwenye mataifa huko na tumeyaona. Sasa wanaporudi kutulaumu mlitumia nguvu kubwa, wao walitaka nini? Tujiulize, je, hao ndio wafadhili wa kile kilichofanyika?
Guinea-Bissau's Electoral Commission has said it can no longer complete the November 23 presidential election after armed men seized ballots, tally sheets and computers from its offices and destroyed the servers storing the results. Deputy Executive Secretary of Guinea-Bissau's National Electoral Commission, Idrissa Diallo, spoke a week after army officers seized power on November 26, one day before the commission was due to announce provisional results from the tightly contested vote. Several buildings, including the Electoral Commission headquarters, came under attack during the takeover. Major General Hota Intaa was sworn in as a new transitional president on November 27, halting the election process. The military has since tightened restrictions, banning demonstrations and strikes.
A CNE reafirmou a missão da CEDEAO da total impossibilidade de concluir o processo eleitoral de 23 de novembro de 2025 e consequente anúncio dos resultados provisórios, por não ter na sua posse nenhuma ata de apuramento regional.
And that's all we have for you here on Breakfast Headlines. Stay with us. Front pages of the newspapers coming up next here on Breakfast Central. I'm Joe Hansen.
President Bola Tinubu submitted 32 ambassadorial nominees to the Senate, 15 career diplomats and 17 non-career appointees, after 2 years without substantive heads at many of our foreign missions. This should have been a moment of relief. Our embassies need capable leaders to protect citizens abroad, attract investment, and restore Nigeria's global standard. Instead, the list reads like a political playlist full of headline-grabbing names, loud personalities, and familiar faces seemingly rewarded for loyalty. The criticism has been swift and sharp, much like the presidential pardons debacle. The Human Rights Writers Association of Nigeria, HURIWA, described the list as unfortunate and disgraceful, arguing that selections were made without regard for merit or negotiating skills. Of note is the list is the inclusion of high-profile political actors, individuals known more for vocal partisanship than for diplomacy. Many worry that career diplomats, many of whom built their expertise over the years, may be sidelined. Some see the list as a ledger of political IOUs, a perception echoed by those alarmed by the nomination of certain controversial figures, including a past electoral commission chair, soon after a divisive election. Diplomacy should not be a consolation prize for political service. It is where national interests are negotiated, crises are managed, and Nigerians abroad find protection. Sending outspoken personalities into sensitive negotiation rooms, places that demand discretion, experience, and statecraft, risks missed investment, weakened security cooperation, and poor consular service. So here's what Nigerians must demand. Rigorous scrutiny. The Senate must test each nominee's competence, not their charisma. Strategic placements. Critical embassies, Washington, Beijing, Brussels, London, need seasoned professionals and not political personalities. And proper funding. Nominations alone won't rebuild a broken diplomatic service. Missions must be resourced to enable real work. If the Senate becomes a rubber stamp, we lock in a diplomacy of spectacle. If instead it demands standards and professionalism, this could mark the start of a diplomatic reset. The choice is clear and urgent. Good morning, Nigerians.
Welcome back. Front pages of the newspapers will never be complete in a week without having public affairs analyst Mr. Olusegun Okwade, who joins us. Good morning. Welcome.
Public affairs analyst, avid golfer, and a chartered accountant.
I mean, back to back
the
to
full
back.
profile.
And there's more.
I wish you got your WAEC results so we can also.
And there's another one
to
that list.
What is it?
Joe, let me say good morning to Joe and Benga this morning. It's always a great time to be with you midweek, irrespective of what is happening. And now that we're at the last month of the year, I think we should have a sign of relief that we can build up for the future.
And the year will be ending on a Wednesday as well. The last day of the year would also be on a Wednesday. 31st. So it's like back to back. But let's not end things yet here. Let's go to the papers and start off what we have on the front page. Our very first paper will be the Punch newspaper. Let's look at the Punch very quickly and see what we have there. On the Punch, U.S. lawmakers, Nigerian reps hold fresh sessions over rising insecurity. People have said they carry our matter for head like Oshuka.
Yes,
That is so. Anyway, Adeleke Sean's Osun PDP primary as Adebayo wins ticket. That was taken in the news. PDP crisis. Makinde block issues Wike others expulsion certificates. I don't know if you saw that certificate that they were issued. Very, very colorful one.
You get a certificate for being expelled.
Yes, they gave you that. Thank you so much. Here
Who
you go.
came to
They put it online.
Okay.
Maybe they'll post it to their,
I'm sure they'll post it to their.
It's allowed now. You can do online.
Or you can print it out yourself.
Yes.
But the Wike faction too, Samuel Wanya, would have equally expelled.
Yeah,
we're in the era and season of
expulsion now. Well, I expel you, God knows. Abi? Okay. Federal government contractors launch fresh purchase of a 500 billion debt. I thought we're not owing now. Okay. Anyway, let's take one more. It says Utide local flights break 300,000 naira mark.
No.
My goodness, from here to Abuja, you would pay 170 something to and fro. That's
that's even in dollar terms, it's ridiculous. This is $200.
It's ridiculous.
This is $200.
It's ridiculous for a flight.
Not
local
flight. Less than an hour.
That's crazy. Anyway, let's have you start with this one. Let's start with U.S. lawmakers. Nigerian reps hold first sessions over rising insecurity.
I want to appreciate the U.S. for putting this so much pressure. All of a sudden, I wake up to see lawmakers, National Assembly now making security a burner discussion before that. And I think the order by Mr. President to withdraw police, at least from VIPs, is also generating issues. So now I ask myself the question, A lot of us have been living without police protection and the likes, and we're moving freely. And we've been raising on every day, at least every Wednesday that we come here, we talked about insecurity. Nobody is paying attention. But now, a lot of people, I listened to one of the members of the National Assembly speaking of the decision of Mr. President to be reconsidered. And I'm like, I put my weight behind Mr. President that I know it's a difficult task for him to carry out that order which he gave of saying withdraw the VIPs. I even saw in one headline where we are being told to report those that are flouting the law of Mr. President.
Yes, the IG has said we should report.
That we should report. So
I would have reported over the weekend, plenty.
Not even the politicians, even the celebrities, individuals that will harass us on the road. So how many plate numbers do you want to count?
Also men of God, pastors.
So how many do you want to take?
When what do they need more
I even ask people, what is the significance of plate numbers? These days you see a lot of people cover their plate numbers.
Yes.
So when you want to report, assuming we even have a database that is sync, where you can, you know our law is double standard. The law is there, but it's always punishable to the lower class.
Yeah.
Where you see somebody, I've seen instances where these so-called police escort harass people off the road and cause accident. But the plate number to capture are all covered. They cover it with one black, whatever, and you ask, is the plate number not meant to identify the car that is actually committing something?
Mr. Okwade is not here to hurl because as a backup and as a buffer to close that gap, from the withdrawal of police escorts, the federal government is saying they will deploy NSCDC operatives. What's the constitutional role of NSCDC? Are they meant to even guard VIPs in the first place? And now they're saying manpower shortfall may delay NSCDC's VIP protection rollout. Are we not robbing Peter to pay Paul? By also using NSCDC personnel?
NSCDC role is to protect our assets. That's what the actual primary aim of setting up that particular arm. But because they know, the question we keep asking ourselves, why the need for police protection if you are doing the right thing? Why do you need it? The people that elected you, if you are giving them the service as promised, should be your protection.
Okay, let's even forget elected officials because they're politically exposed persons. I mean, a senator will need a police orderly or escort or something.
Why? Benga still asks why.
But still, the private individuals, that's the one that worries me. You know,
no, because they saw
at a wedding.
Yeah.
He's lucky that he removed his name tag and was wearing a face mask. A military with camouflage. And we're making hula balu over Wike and Yerima. You know, removing it from a purse, giving his boss bundles of naira. That's insulting. And there are many of them like that.
That is the level they have actually brought, and the security apparatus that is meant to protect the all citizens of the country. And the question I keep asking, Benga, if you live in this is what people have tested over time. If you live in an environment and you are committed to the growth and you service that environment the way it should be, it is the people that will protect you. Not even, I've seen instances where in an environment, a friend of mine, he created a lot of development in that particular area, and there was a day one of his friends took his vehicle from his house. You know, when you get to the bus stop, you know these guys that stay at the bus stop. They know him with that vehicle. So they wake up in the morning, good morning, sir. And you know, as usual, maybe you look for something and you give. And this guy got to that bus stop and was like, who are you people? I will kill you with this. And they are like, this must be a stolen vehicle. They must have stolen a gas vehicle. So one of them, like two of them, stood in front of that vehicle and say, you are going nowhere. And they called the man at home and said, sir, are you safe? There is one miscreant here. We believe they've stolen your vehicle. Possibly you are held hostage. And the guy was wondering that this is surprising to him. And it's just because of his contribution. Not only because he gives those hoodlums or the guys at the bus stop money, he has contributed to the development of that community by providing light with his own. He's not a politician, but he feels that the environment where he stays must receive that attention that makes it. So you discover that they are the one that protect. So if our leaders, the so-called politically exposed people, are doing the right thing that they're supposed to do. They blow siren on the road to take you off the road when they are the major cause of the traffic by not fixing the road infrastructure. They take one way and kill people innocently, chasing other people out of it. The law enforcement agency are so emboldened that they will sit in front of vehicles and ask them to follow one way. What kind of lawlessness are we talking about?
Suggested that the true test of this directive, the test of it, will be happening in this December, this Yuletide season. On December, will they go?
I can tell you for free that that thing will not work.
Okay.
But
the president, in the past, IGs have issued this directive, and we see that it's just on paper. But the presidency and the president has also directed that they should do something. That's another level of.
The politician will tell you that
level of compliance.
Is the president not having some of these people protecting him? Is it not through politically exposed and politically elected leaders like them? That's the question. So if people wants to, and a lot of people will say president is different from governor, or different from commissioner, or different from senator. But what they'll be saying is, if you must lead by example. If you are saying that they should remove our own police protection, then remove your guard. Have you seen the entourage that follow Mr. President on his own?
We disagree in terms of, I feel politically exposed persons, if you're holding a current government position, you are entitled to a certain level of protection. But private citizens, pastors, and
don't go to the area of pastors. Those ones, at times I don't want to discuss their issue because do what I say. Don't do what I do. When you act that people are praying, you are praying for people that you have divine protection. And you have 3 armed
protection.
AK-47 that you cannot move closer to pastors. At times I ask myself the question. You can't even
touch the hem of their garment.
And that is the person they claim they are following. People make sure that they touch the hem of their garment. But when they go out to parties, to crusades and all the things, the people that guard them, and you see pastor driving a bulletproof vehicle. Where is God protection that you are preaching to the people? So it's more of do what I say. You see, God has given you the liberty to protect and do other things.
Important, I don't know how important it is, but news item on the Punch newspaper. Before then, Johansson, are you interested in touching the hem of my garment?
Well, I will not be interested because last time I checked, you are not a pastor. I tell you.
So let's talk about this. I mean, Edo State is in the news again. I really wonder.
Have you seen the drama? The drama has been back and forth. I think we need to bring it. I think we need to bring it to wake up conversation.
Edo State needs a special drawing board episode. First, it was the Ashwaju cap. Compliance. Then second, the promise of votes. Then the third, if the president doesn't win in 2027, he will resign. I mean, is the capital of Edo State Abuja, and what is the concern of the governor and the states?
What's the latest?
With Edo State. The latest now is marital dispute. Edo Assembly summons Baba's wife, a private individual. I mean, of all issues that are bothering the state, they want to wade into a private dispute between Two-Face Idibia and his newly wedded.
But she's represented. I mean,
she's a member of the house.
She's a member of the
house.
So that's why you should bring your marital issue to
I said they said they are summoning her for misconduct and possibly disgracing the state as well. See, let me tell you, and we are saying this, I'm not hiding it. Majority of our people that find themselves at most are actually there for decoration and are these matter that borders on the people they claim they are leading. Go to their constituency. The yield is there. Nothing those people can post for. No water, no security. Like we keep saying, if the state are doing what is expected of them, we will nip this insecurity at the bud. The autonomy granted to local government, are the state government fulfilling it? So this that you are saying in Edo is a replica, except for a few states who understand what governance is all about, are trying to actually say the best that they can do. So you can imagine when you start discussing this on the floor of how somebody If a wife slapped the husband in the public, how has it become her headache? That's their own prerogative. In fact, as a matter of fact, the husband might be very much happy that openly the wife is doing that to her. If you feel that she's not leading by example, that's her private life, and you should not intrude into that. My own opinion. But a lot of people will say she's a public figure.
She's bringing the house to disrepute by actions.
That action has nothing to do with the governance of Edo State. They should speak more on how they will provide the basic things. Go to that state now. You see bad roads. Go to the internet. They are not actually doing.
Even
the
governor was stuck in bad road recently.
He was stuck in bad road. He tried escaping, but his car was there.
So they are part of the mass movers. Adeleke shuns Osun PDP primary as Adebayo wins ticket. He resigned.
It's no news. I keep wondering why you say
but it was just made known recently.
So if you resign November 4, why are they saying you shun the PDP primary? If you have resigned,
he resigned is because of the. I mean, and he stated it because of the crisis at the national level. Isn't this man Adebayo that won this ticket? Does he not risk litigation, knowing that the house is not in order and somebody can take you to court that who verified who signed which faction. Signed your forms and things like that, and I believe that's why Mr. Jackson Adeleke left, because he doesn't want anyone. Doesn't want them to stain his white.
A lot of people have actually said that, and the man that has cleared the ticket for Osun State, he understands. People will say no risk, no gain. Possibly he has a faith.
It's a gamble.
Yeah. Before then, a house must have been put into order. So let me first hold the ticket. When I get the ticket, then we'll be able to see how we appease the gods that are actually bringing those. And if it's not, if at the end of the day, the faction that endorsed him is being nullified by the court, because everybody understands that there will be litigation here. Because it is the national body that will present the candidate. So you can imagine if Makinde faction presents and the Wike, counter it. They're saying that we are the recognized and legitimate, or Wike faction, that's where it belongs, and the Makinde decide to null it off. So I think it's a gamble, it's a risk. He decided to actually play around with.
Is Senator Ademola Adeleke not also gambling? Resigning at the 11th hour, and he doesn't even have a political party. Now, we had a conversation with one of his aides yesterday, and he boasted. He looked at me and Johansson in the face and he said that, if the governor resigns a day before before the governorship elections, he will win the elections. What a bold and remarkable statement.
We don't expect anything less from such person. So we'll test the water where we get there. I've seen a report stating that possibly it might be moving to Accord Party. I believe with Accord, we have a good landing, because Accord, after Senator Ladoja, the Olubadan of Ibadan, withdrew his hands from that particular area. He seems to be calm. And even ADC before now, we are not hearing so much until one or two big wigs decided to venture into it. So Adeleke might be the big wig that will resuscitate Accord Party from what we are hearing. So, but politicians, they know their way. They understand the game, how to play it. So we have, we'll be having Accord. We'll be having PDP, we'll be having APC, we'll be having Labour Party come to Osun State to actually galvanize the stuff. They know how they have their way, and I don't want to relegate any political party, because it's not about the party, it's about individuals at times that are behind the scene in Nigeria.
All right.
That's why you should have that win, at least Labour Party in Abia State.
I want us to look at Leadership newspaper real quick. Northern governors, others hailed General Musa's nomination as defense minister. What did you make out of it? And Badaru's seek reasons for leaving.
Yeah, a lot of us criticize Mr. President on Badaru's nomination by saying the man is of age, I think he's over 65, and they should look for at least someone who is young at that. The current nominee, I keep forgetting, he's a very good man that I've had cause to relate with. When he was relieved of his office, a lot of us raised questions, but we understand the rationale that the service chiefs that he superintends over, when they relieve them, he must go with them. We know the kind of effort he actually tried to bring on board. Several people have been asking me the question, when you release someone that for non-performance, why are you reinstating him to come and be a minister? Not when even the clips or the reason of his removal was that there was a rumor of coup plot at that particular time.
Or maybe his tenure was over.
His tenure was not over. His tenure was not over. There was an information of coup plotting. Then they did not have a clear picture of what it is. But I think what stand out for him was you might have 5 people that are working together, but an individual can stand out because you can at times use the group or team work to judge what individual position will definitely bring to bear. So if he's nominated, let's see the best that he can bring, because at this point in time, we need to address this issue of security headlong, and seeing the fact that attention, what they discuss now at the state is security. I heard the House of Rep are restating the issue of state policing, that a lot of people have actually been clamoring for over years. What are the laws that they need to put? Because a lot of us are saying that we cannot continue to do the same thing the same way. I expect different results.
Absolutely.
Can we have
That's
a different
madness.
approach by saying that let's do what we're doing now is from top to bottom. So can we have from bottom to top, where we have the traditional rulers who I regard to as the 4th tier of government, committed to security. From there you go to the local government, the state. Then the center can actually concentrate on the external attack if there will be any, so that you can nip it. A lot of these crises that are happening at the suburb where we lack governance, and those are areas we expect to be addressed. So let's approach it from a different spectrum of saying from bottom to the top. Let the governors tax the local government, cover your area. Let the local government, who has the traditional leaders under them, commission them, go to CDCs, CDAs, where you can have. So when everybody galvanize or protect their area, the way it should be, providing the necessary support that is expected of them, then we can have those things minimal. Like the other KB state issue, the day it happened that we analyzed it there, you are hearing about 7 hours drive to the center. So how do you expect governor to have understanding of what is going on there at every leaf? But if there are people that are saddled with the responsibility, you have vigilantes. I remember in Lagos when there was a problem in Ikorodu, you have the likes of Oyabo, who are actually security architecture provided by Ikorodu in DG. Yeah, during the Bado period, the Oyabos came out and they were able to confront those people because they have that environment. So I feel we should go that particular route.
This resignation has also sparked conversation about a certain pattern within the ruling All Progressive Congress. They call it sickness as an excuse. The first happened to be Mr. Ajuri Ngalale, spokesperson to the president. The statement said he was sick. Second person was former APC chairman, Abdullahi Ganduje, the former governor of Kano State. They said he was sick. I saw him just yesterday. He was looking very hale and hearty. He attended a public function. I'm not God. We're not playing God here, but we look at patterns and we analyze patterns. And then now, Mr. Badaru, is there any crime in saying, look, thank you for your services. We don't want you anymore. Instead of invoking sickness that you might not, I don't know, or maybe we'll call the Nigerian Medical Association to perform, after you resigned, a medical test on you to see if you're... But what do you... Let's put 2 and 2 together, or 1 and 2.
Bingo.
Is there a pattern here?
Bingo.
It's just, is this saving face or soft landing that you must give them sickness before they resign?
I won't consider it as safe landing or saving face for them. Bingo, you see, when you are in position of authority in this country, the bullala that goes around you make you to fall sick overnight. I was talking to one of my leaders who led one of the Noble Institute that we had, and he said after I completed my tenure, the kind of load. I said, Boga, you are looking very sharp. He said that period I was always falling. He said when you want to take decision, this one will come, that one will come. It gives you headache. Which way should I go? Okay, these are respected people telling you these are things that they feel you need to do. Your wish knows that it's wrong, and there are people you've respected. That's enough sickness for you if care is not taken. And I think so. You can understand. So a lot of people, because of interest, that's why we say people need to just put first. You know, the citizen, they claim they are leader, because there are some people that you are not seeing their face behind the scene. The pressure they put on leaders to actually mislead them. It's just that it's always difficult for people to resign voluntarily. And I think the best escape route, the best escape route, just hide under sickness. Because even the headache, the body you are carrying.
We are not that.
We are not that. Okay.
Okay. Especially if you live in Lagos State, you want to resign. Navigating. I'm still what's potholes and the state of things.
So those are things that will actually put you on the. So for me, I would say it matters so much. So I would say it's not. Most of the time is until when you wear the shoe, you understand the intrigues. See, there are some what I call monitoring forces that are waiting for you. Benga, the Benga that I know, Joe, let Mr. President invite him for an appointment first, and I will accept you 6 months' time. That's when you hear that, Mr. Yesno, there are saboteurs in this place. Even I want to do certain things. I don't even understand when I take this step, because I've had opportunity to relate with those people. And I say, who are these people that you cannot, he said, so you can't understand. And I say, I pray one day you make people to. So those are things that create the sickness. There are some people behind the scene that do not want the betterment of this country. And they use the instrumentalities of their position to maneuver and manage the people at the center who are actually leading us. And that's what I can call sickness that you want to excuse yourself of.
I want us to look at...
Before you leave the leadership, there's good news on the leadership.
No, I'm still there. I'm still on leadership. Okay. I want to look at leadership as well. This time, varsity.
Yes, the university.
Lecturers report breakthrough in 2009 agreement renegotiation.
ASU federal government reached agreement on 40% pay rise, 40%, and autonomy and funding. So we're making progress.
So this is good.
Yeah, well, the progress is there, but most of the time we always have this thing signed. When it comes to implementation, we see another level of strike. Again, being called upon. I remember 2009, there was a signed document, I think with Gigi.
It's 2009 issue.
So that we are still trying to battle. And then it was a signed agreement with government. Well, when it came to implementation, that's when you hear about budget deficit. We are struggling to see how we make ends meet. Okay, the 40% we have given to you, can you manage 10%? Those ones will come, no, you signed 40%, the politicians...
So it's not yet to hold.
So as far as it's not yet...
Let's not celebrate yet. Let's not be too quick.
Until when we see the implementation.
Even Falcons, they have not received their $100,000.
Even Falcons, they've not seen anything.
So it's not about having those things on paper. It's about you having that implementation. So we'll come and celebrate when we hear ASU and the other saying, that signed agreement.
How about talks for the university autonomy? Because that's changed. I mean, that's a major movement in terms of the overall perception and operations of universities. Because they've always argued for it. You look at Harvard, for example. Harvard University Endowment Fund is bigger than Nigeria's budget. And the problem here is that when you grant universities too much autonomy, you price them away from ordinary people. They can go ahead and say, okay, you need... we want to increase our school fees to X amount of money and price regular people out of it. University education becomes doesn't become available for everyone.
I share your sentiment, sincerely speaking. And aside that, even the corruption that has engender our systems give me so much worry when you talk about this autonomy. I was telling some people that even the autonomy granted to local government, because everybody, the track that we are actually following is what can I catch out for myself and the future unborn children without anybody checking up on them. Autonomy is good, but at the same time, we need government intervention in some of these things so that you can make available, this same education for the low-trodden set of people that cannot afford it. I've always shared this with people to say a lot of our religious-based our schools, are they really affordable for even the members that are actually paying offering and some of the things that they are doing? A lot of them are not accessible. And how many scholarships are there? I've had engagement with some of the organizations. So that thing is really not a charitable organization. Education is very, very expensive. And you must give out, it's capital intensive, and you must give out the best. But I said, you come at times to some of these low-level people, you know, give them some words in such a way that they will have a stake in that particular area when they grow up. I know of so many granny that they pay out of that small thing that they have. Because even in the scripture, there is one thing that was said of one woman that gave all that she had. Might. You know, that widow's mite, as against somebody that had so much, but gave that little out of that which. So you can imagine an elderly person that understands the importance of education, possibly out of the 20,000 that the children are giving to him or her as stipend, she decided to contribute 50% of it for the endowment fund. And the children cannot, the grandchildren cannot afford to attend such school. So that's the problem I have with that autonomy.
A few minutes we have left. Let's quickly put up the Nigerian Tribune. There's an important story there that we need to touch on. I believe the other papers have mentioned all of these things. Reps begin debate on state policing, the action, and I believe this is tied to America's threat to invade, all guns blazing. So it's no longer a debate where we might see the actualization of state policing and other constitutional review bills today. They are going to start discussing it to vote on bills next Tuesday, Wednesday before transmission to the state. Do they have enough time to look at the modalities? Because I won't want a situation where Amotekun is babbing people's head for carrying dreadlocks. And, you know, there are many, this is constitutional. There are many issues to be taken. Should they not take their time to look at this? Because it's looking like a rush job. I want you to talk on that in 1 minute. And also on health, this is for all the men there. This is Yuletide season. Beer belly linked to heart damage in the men.
Benga, let's take on that beer belly. Let's just leave the other story. Beer belly.
Pot belly is not a sign of good living. Look at us. Look at me.
What do you think?
Yeah, well, they will continue to tell people about this. Individuals take the decision on what they want to do.
But there's this saying that if the belly is not big, it shows that the woman is not feeding the man well.
Yes, and the ladies like it. They call them zaddy, and they rub their stomach.
Olive is not here to debunk that.
And they're actually pushing the man to the grave. Where you see, it's an individual discipline. How you discipline yourself, how you actually prioritize your health. At times, it's not even the pot belly, the mental alertness on your part, just like you raised. So, what do? You've heard series where they will tell you that tobacco smoking is dangerous. Yeah. A lot of people can't do without that. They still go ahead and smoke and say, so it's my life. And we've seen instances where people will tell you that, look at this man. He's been smoking for God knows when.
90 years,
and he's 89 years now. Yeah. This one has been drinking for God knows when. So that what the scientists are telling you and that's what they believe that they don't. So I feel individual needs to monitor their health, know what is good and best for them, and be able to do. If you feel that pot belly is good for you because they are rubbing it, when you get to that place, the lady has another pot belly too.
Okay, that's all on the show for this morning. Thank you so much. So our directors who don't have pot belly, by the way, they're very fit on News Central. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching. My name is Joe Hansen.
And my name is Benga Boro. Thank God I don't drink beer. I only take the juice of God, schnapps, to sip on 1 or 2. But we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.